Are you confused by all the different kinds of mics you've heard about? Maybe you've heard of a shotgun mic or a lavalier mic, a voiceover mic, a camera mic, a stick mic, a handheld mic. I'm going to go through each of these in a very practical, non-technical way, and I'm going to explain the pros and cons of each one and the kinds of situations you would want to use them in. By the end of this video, you should have a better understanding of what kind of mic you want to use in whatever scenario you'll be facing. I'm not an audio engineer, but I'm someone who's used all of these microphones in a huge variety of scenarios, so all this will be very simple and practical. I've set up kind of a test studio here, so as I talk about each mic, I'll also plug it into the recorder so you can hear what it sounds like in different scenarios. So right now, I'm using a podcast or a voiceover mic. This mic specifically is the AT2020. What I love about this mic is the sound. It's got a really nice, rich, pleasing sound. The downside to this mic, as you can see, is it needs a mic stand. This is not a mic that's great for field recording. I love this mic. It's my favorite mic for voiceovers, but I can't take it on the road with me, especially if I have to fly, because the mic stands just don't fit. Next up is the shotgun mic. This is one of my all-time favorites, and I travel with this whenever I can fit it in the bag. In this case, I have the shotgun mic set up with a pistol grip. That's how you can hold it. And a shock mount right here. This is this rubber mounting disc that isolates the sound of the mic moving around or the cables from the actual sound receiving part of the mic. And I have this softie, which is a super-powered windscreen. So this is what the mic looks like on its own. I actually bought this mic probably 30 plus years ago, and that's one of the great things about a good quality mic. They'll last forever. This mic can be powered by a small battery or phantom power, which is the way I usually use it. So now I'm going to plug this mic in so I can talk about some of the qualities it has. So a shotgun mic is a very directional mic. As you can see, when I turn it away from me, you can barely hear anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's so great about this mic is how directional it is. Normally you wouldn't hold it quite this close, but you literally aim it at the speaker that you want to hear. So this is great if you want to do person on the street interviews, if you want to pick up the sound of footsteps or the crowd or a car door opening or closing. It's also really versatile, so it saved my butt a bunch of times when maybe I'm set up with 2 mics for an interview and at the last minute my client tells me we'll have 4 or 5 or more. The shotgun mic can be pointed at each person. It's great in situations where you're in a hurry and you don't have time to set up a mic, where you want to have control yourself and you don't want to count on the guest to be holding the mic or speaking in a certain way. So again, a really versatile mic, but it is one that usually needs a second person to hold it. If you're doing an all audio podcast with no video, this is great because you can control it yourself. But if you are recording video as well as audio, you're going to need a second person just to aim this microphone. And I have many times recruited and trained people on the spot to do that.
A ranger is holding the mic.
The next mic I'm going to talk about is the camera mic. And I'm going to go and put this mic on the top of the camera so you can hear that. What you're hearing right now is the sound from my on-camera mic. I'm using the Rode Videomicro. It's another version of this mic. It's about 10 feet in front of me. I've put aside the voiceover mic so there's no confusion and you can hear what this on-camera mic sounds like. I'm sure you'll find it's a little bit echoey, there's more background noise, but considering it's 10 feet away, it's not bad. So all that means when I say camera mic is it's a microphone that's mounted on the top of the camera. Usually this is also a shotgun style mic, so it's directional. In this case, it's a really inexpensive one. It's called the Rode Videomicro because it's tiny. And it comes with this mount. It's version of a shock mount, so it isolates the sound. It has a mini pin plug, so I use it with my Sony Alpha 6500 or with the GoPro. and I'll take it apart so you can see what it looks like. It comes with this Rode softie, which makes it great for on the go, so you don't have to worry about wind noise. And here is that little shotgun mic. So the camera mic is very handy because you can just leave it on the camera. It doesn't require any special cables or extra equipment or any planning. It's really great for nat sound or sound bites, for grabbing little bits of sound on the go. I would not recommend it for interviews, although the quality is surprisingly good, and if you're in a real jam, it can be a lifesaver. Usually, the on-camera mic is used in more of an action scenario or for those natural moments where you want to pick up comments on the fly. The next mic I want to talk to you about is the Lavalier mic. This is the kind of mic that you're often going to see in a sit-down interview.
You know, as I said, I ran the marathon a couple of years ago. I mean, I hadn't done any running for years.
This is a mic that's clipped onto the lapel, and it gets pretty good sound because a rule of thumb is the closer that the mic is to the source of the sound, the less background noise you're going to hear. Now, this isn't as good as something like this voiceover mic that I'm using, and part of that is the distance. Right now, as you can see, I'm speaking from just a few inches away, but when I put on the lavalier mic, it'll be a little bit lower. Right now, you're seeing what can be one of the downsides of the lavalier mic, and that is that it takes a few minutes to set up. And if you have a guest that has come in and been scheduled and sat down for the interview, no problem. But if you're doing a person on the street or something in a hurry where you want to get sound from lots of different people, this might not be a great solution. So most lavalier mics have these two parts. They have this very small microphone with a clip, and then they have this thing called the capsule, and the capsule is what's going to power it and allow you to plug it into your recorder. So I have plugged in this lavalier mic. Normally I would run it under my shirt, but I'm not going to do that on camera. And then I would clip it to the lapel. What's great about this mic is it doesn't require any kind of skill or knowledge from your guest, whereas with this voiceover mic, they have to speak into the right side of it, or they have to be the right distance from it. They have to remember to use the mic. Another advantage is it's really portable. You can travel with it. It's very small. It's clipped on, so it's hands-free, and it means that both the guest and the host can easily forget that they're being recorded and be more comfortable on camera. So that's a great upside. I don't like to use it on podcast interviews because the sound quality just isn't quite as good as a handheld mic or this voiceover mic that you can get closer to the source of the sound. Again, this mic is perfect for a sit-down interview where you want the people, both guests and hosts, to feel comfortable, forget that they're on camera, and when the sound quality isn't quite as critical as a pure podcast recording. The next mic I want to talk to you about is the handheld mic. This is a classic, right? It's really easy to travel with. It doesn't take up a lot of room, but it does have a couple of downsides. The first thing I'll mention is that I also like to use the windscreen with it. It just gets a cleaner sound, fewer popping P's and T's and B's, and it does protect you a little bit from the breeze if you have wind noise. This is what the mic looks like without the windscreen. In this case, the mic is a Behringer XM8500. This is a very inexpensive mic. It's under $50 or $60. And the truth is, it's a little bit too cheap. I've had problems with handling noise. The pins in the bottom become loose, and this can be a real problem for an interview sound. A higher quality mic is not going to have that problem, or a newer mic. But one of the issues with these mics is it does put the responsibility on your guest or your host to make sure they're doing proper mic handling. This mic also requires that you speak into it a certain way, and I often have a host who will turn and talk to the person next to them, and as you can see, it just doesn't sound good when that happens. Downside for this type of a mic is it does require your host or your guest to have a little bit of training in proper mic technique, and it can get handling noise or background noise or wind noise. The upside is that the sound is really good quality, one of the better qualities, because again, the closer that the sound is to the microphone, the better the sound will be. So this is a good quality mic, and it takes up almost no room. It doesn't require a mic stand. All you need is the mic and the cable. So in my case, I often have 4 hosts or multiple hosts and guests. And it's easy for me to fit 4 of these microphones and 4 cables and my Zoom H6 all in one bag and be ready to go.
We are here for Spartan Up Podcast in Morzine, France, with my favorite Colonel Nye on my right, my almost favorite Sephra on my left, and barely favorite Johnny further on the left.
And pulling up the rear,
who's all of our favorite.
Our producer, Marion.
I would consider doing a little research and making sure you get a mic that doesn't have handling noise and that is a little bit longer lasting than this one. So that's it. We have the 5 kinds of mics. We have the voiceover or podcast mic. Again, this is a mic that gets a really good sound but requires a mic stand and is better for a studio location or a home location where you're not traveling. We have the on-camera mic. This is great for picking up sound on the go, what we call nat sound or sound on the fly, crowds, interaction, quick stuff, but probably not great for interviews. Doesn't require any kind of extra cables, easy to travel with, and you always have it with you if you mount it on your camera. We have the shotgun mic, one of my all-time favorites. It's very versatile. The downside is you do need somebody to operate it during the interview. One thing I forgot to mention is you can mount this on a stand and aim it directly at a person who's sitting, but that requires that they're not going to be moving around. We have the lavalier mic. This is what you're used to seeing in your sit-down interviews. It's great because it requires no skill or ability on the part of the guest or the host. It lets them feel comfortable, forget they're being recorded. The downside is the audio quality isn't quite as good as what you're going to get from your voiceover mic. And then lastly, you have this handheld mic. This is a great solution. It does require a little bit of training and skill for your host or your guest to use it, but it's easy to travel with, very small, gets you a good quality sound. And again, make sure you get a better quality mic than I did so you don't have the problems with handling noise. I hope you'll leave me some questions and comments. I'm just starting to build this channel, and I love to hear what's working and what's not and what else you'd like to know. I'd like to do some more videos about interview technique, about the 5 kinds of interviews you can do. I'd like to talk to you about how to choose a guest and how to prep them. And of course, I have my series on my own personal creative journey. So please, if you like the content, hit subscribe and leave a comment. That not only will give me a little bit of encouragement, but it'll also let YouTube know that this video is something worth watching.